Hello everyone and welcome to our series of videos. Today we're going to talk about past simple and we're going to divide this lesson into two. We're going to focus first on regular verbs and then we're going to talk about irregular verbs. We use past simple to talk about finished actions in the past. And this is important. When we talk about unfinished actions or about things which started in the past but continue to happen now in the present, we use a different tense. So today we're going to focus on this. Finished actions in the past. Our auxiliary verb is going to be did, which is the past tense of the verb to do. If you need to review the verb to do, you can watch our video on present simple. Same rules apply. Negative form, didn't, which is did not. All we need to do to form a negative phrase is say didn't, and then we use an infinitive. For example, I didn't go to school yesterday. So we maintain our verb and we change the verb to do to the past tense. Next example, I didn't watch the soccer game. So, all we have to do is use did or didn't with the infinitives, okay, to talk in past tense. Same rule applies for the questions. Did you go to school? Now, notice the difference. When we ask in present simple, do you go to school? We're speaking in general. But when we use did, the same question is to talk about a finished action in the past. Did you go to school yesterday? Did you watch the game yesterday? Did you eat something before class? So did and didn't are going to be our best friends, speaking in both negative and in questions. Following, we're going to talk about the affirmative form and we're going to deal a little bit with pronunciation. All right, so as I mentioned before, we're going to use did and didn't as our auxiliary verbs. So, negative phrase, I didn't watch the game. And in a question, did you watch the game? So, this is pretty similar to present simple, right? The complication starts when we speak in affirmative. You see, affirmatives, for regular verbs, we're going to add the suffix ed, okay? But now this is not pronounced watch it. Watch it is wrong. Why? Because watch it sounds exactly the same. We can't say watch it. Okay? So if I wanted to say this, I would say I watched the game. I watched the game. And I'm stressing the T in the end because this is going to be pronounced like this. Yeah, but why? Well, this is one reason. Watch it means watch it. Whereas if we keep the pronunciation like a T, watched is the correct way to say the verb to watch in simple past affirmative. Following up, I'm going to show you a small list of verbs so we can practice this pronunciation a little bit. This is our list to practice the pronunciation. As I mentioned before, when we see this suffix, we can't say it because it sounds very close to it. And this is what we want to avoid at all costs because it's confusing. Talk it is literally talk it. So we're going to use a T when we have this type of consonants. Very strong consonants, which makes us produce sounds like, and this is very funny, so so when you blow air out of your mouth, we need to put a strong sound, and the T is a very strong sound. So it's going to sound like this. talked, talked, walked, walked, worked, worked, booked, booked, checked, checked, looked, looked, stopped, stopped. I'm going to give you a few examples with the phrases. For example, I talked about it before. When I say before, it's a finished event in the past tense, so I say talked. I walked here yesterday. Same thing. I worked in this office with a few friends on Christmas. I booked a flight to New York. I checked in at the hotel this morning. I looked out the window to see if my car was there. I stopped eating ice cream 10 years ago. Oh, that's sad, right? So, to recap, we use the T when the original verb ends in a strong consonant. Talk, talked. So we have a strong consonant. K. Look what happens here. Stop, stop. You move the air. That's called a plosive sound. Stopped. It takes a little bit of practice, but it's manageable. Now, when the original verb ends in a consonant which isn't very strong, like the S in this case, or in a vowel sound like play or try, we just use a D, like D. This is essentially because the T and the D are cousins. They're very close. So, miss, you see, S is not strong like K. So we can say missed, missed. So it sounds like a softer T, which is what a D really is. Played, played. Again, same thing, because play it, it's a different thing. Played is the same as play it. So we say played, played. Guessed, guessed. Next one. Studied, studied. Tried, tried. And last, turned, turned. What happens if I just say ed? It sounds like this. Miss it, play it, guess it, study it, try it, turn it. So we are misunderstood when we do that. So let's practice this, okay? For strong consonants in regular verbs, we use a T. For soft consonants and vowel sounds, we use a D. Just like every rule, this rule has exceptions. But the exceptions have a reason. What happens with the verb want? Let's think about it for a second. You'll see, this is ridiculous, so you're going to remember it. Want. If we try to put a T after want, what happens? Wanted to. Wanted to. It sounds ridiculous, so don't try this at home. What happens with need? Needed to. Needed to. So it looks like you're stuttering, okay? So in this case, when the original verb ends with a T or a D, we're going to say id, not ed, okay? Id, very short and sweet. So the pronunciation here is wanted, wanted, needed, needed, visited, visited, omitted, omitted, decided, decided. Once again, wanted. I wanted to go, but, typical excuse. I needed to use the bathroom, but now I don't. I'm talking about before, and now I'm talking about present tense. I visited my mom last week. I omitted some crucial information in my application. And I decided to learn English. So we're talking about before. Once again, when we confront one of these verbs which end in T or D, then we can say id. But always remember that these are the exceptions. And the natural rule is to pronounce a T or a D. Let's recap what we have learned today. In regular verbs, we add the suffix id to the verb in the affirmative. For example, I wanted to go to the movies. Remember the pronunciation rules we discussed before. This verb ends in the T, so we use id. I wanted to go to the movies. But in the negative, we're going to use the auxiliary verb did. Well, in this case, didn't. But we're going to keep the verb in its original form. So the negative phrase goes, I didn't want to go. This is a common mistake. Some people say I didn't want it, but that's not correct. Okay? All we need to do is to change the verb, in this case the auxiliary verb, to the past tense, and we're set. I didn't want to go. Same rules apply to questions. Did you go to the movies? Or did you want to go to the movies? Okay? So, just a few sets of simple rules. Follow them up, practice a lot, and you'll be ready to speak about finished events in the past tense. And that's all the time we have for today. On behalf of everyone here at Smooth Talkers, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.